careless. This will really be a long story. Begins back in the 90s with me living in Japan. Met my wife-to-be, Japanese, and we got married a little over a year later. During the first 5 or so years of our marriage, I was not a good husband at all. I will leave it at that. We almost broke up over it all, but I promised that, if given the chance, I would change my life around and be the good person that I could be. I returned to the US, while the family stayed in Japan. I kept my word and since then have done all that I could to be the good person that is needed to head a family. I was alone here in the US for 18 months before they came over to join me. I got promoted and we relocated to the East Coast. I finished my degree and was promoted to programmer and analyst. Time passed by and our kids moved out. About 5 years ago I was riffed from my position and then had to train my replacements in India, 3 of them. I decided at that point to make a change in my profession as I saw how precarious the software business was. I was 7 years from retirement when riffed. I decided to try property management and struck a deal to oversee the building of a sustainable ranch. This did require me to be in a different location from my wife. This contract lasted 2 years and I learned a great deal. I moved back to our home and decided to buy a small ranch, about 100 miles from our other home, and make it into a sustainable retreat. I have accomplished this and am still here. I am now learning how to grow organic blueberries at a nearby farm, and this has become a job where I work with some very good people. My wife is a nurse. When she and the family arrived from Japan, I have done everything in my power to help her achieve her goals. She started as a waitress, then a nursing assistant, then got citizenship, then nursing license. She then got a nursing position at a regular hospital, then a contractor's position on base, and then a nursing GS job. This has been her goal since she arrived. I have done virtually all the paperwork for all, as you probably all know how impossible it is for a non-native speaker to make sense of Gov documents. All seemed to be going well with no problems. 2021 was a great year and I felt our marriage was doing very well. Last year and early this year the probate was cleared on my parents' will. This ended up putting us in very good financial position. We owned all our properties and had no debt. In my mind this was an excellent thing for our marriage and reduced financial worry to almost nil. Well, in February of this year as we were preparing to take a trip to visit our daughters, out of the blue, she completely blew up at me. I had thought at the end of 2021 that she was getting emotionally close to someone else because she didn't seem to be sharing as much with me anymore. The blow-up was a wake-up call though. She had never treated me like that before and so I thought something must be wrong. She blew up over a very small thing and then when I asked if she was really upset about that she started giving me the finger and swearing at me. She had never done this before. Much silence ensued and while driving I pulled over and asked if we were okay and what was wrong. That is when she said, "If you want a divorce you can have a divorce." Wow, I was floored. I had never brought that up. We smoothed things over and made it through the trip without further issue, but all that happened remained in the back of my mind. So as not to make this too long of a story, I will try to be a bit briefer. She started getting more secretive and more detached. She started being very curt at times. She started talking about needing space and wanting to be alone. I found that at the end of March she had not worn her ring to a sports event she was participating in and made up a story to give her every chance to be honest that she had not worn it. She did not take the opportunity. She lied. When she got back, I confronted her and started talking about some boundaries I expected of her and she balked at them and called me controlling. She again stated how she was thinking she wanted to be alone and didn't want to be controlled. Well, I was in him living 100 miles away and had been visiting a couple of weekends a month. I told her I would move back home and get another job if it would help make our marriage better. No, she did not want that. Made an excuse that my health was much better out here. I bought and read books on better communication, menopause and its effect on women her age, books on EAs and PAs with the hope that I could come to understand what was going on. Long story short, I find she first had an EA and then PA with fellow sports guy. Won't mention the sport as many people know many others locally. He is married to and for longer than my wife and me. I have talked to his wife and I guess this is not his first go around. She plans to divorce him but not for possibly a year because of family concerns. This may change though. By the way, she is a very nice, intelligent lady. The only remorse my wife shows is perhaps for getting caught. I just don't see much else. She attacks me and has tried to blame me for all and has brought up the stuff that happened 20 plus years ago. So, at this point I see my 25-year marriage going to hell. When I ask what she intends to do she says she is thinking divorce. It is a travesty and I am heartbroken. However, I refuse to be her plan B. I have retained a lawyer. There is much I have missed here. I have thought of that but she doesn't seem to want any boundaries. Also, she said she wanted to split off financially. She makes twice what I do. So, 10 days ago she withdraws more than half of the money in our joint checking account and starts her own private account. She is also switching her direct deposit over to the new account. Luckily, I get alerts so I immediately did the same with most of the remainder. My guess, she is either getting an apartment or an attorney or both. The sum was pretty large. From all I have read, she is in the infatuation fog right now and the guy is coaching her. Luckily, I did not commingle most of it. Then again, I did pay off our house mortgage which was a fair amount. What a waste. To be honest, for about 4 months I have been going crazy. I tried to figure out what was going on. She actually had this guy in our house. That really hit me hard. But at least knowing is better than not knowing, even though the knowledge of it is very difficult to take. I have not initiated contact since last week except once to text her news of our daughters. It is as if she wants to divorce the whole family. I have never known her to be as selfish and self-centered as I have seen her be during the last 3 to 4 months. It is as if I don't know her at all anymore. When I asked why she doesn't come visit the ranch anymore, she replies my life is in the crap hole. Which is to say, not with me. I am sure I don't want divorce, but it seems she does, as she is not willing to make any changes to her activities and not willing to abide by boundaries. No matter how nicely I approach a subject, I get rebuffed and attacked. When I think of all the lying in the last 4 months or more, it is crazy. Said with a completely straight face, I am going to have trouble trusting again. I am in my late 50s and don't know if I can or want to again. Well, when divorce papers signed, I could have served at her work. Also, she may get a wake-up call when she sees support petition. Thing that irks me is she seemed to think that we could just break up and remain friends, etc. Divorce is way different in Japan. I think she doesn't really have a clue as to what a pain it can be here. Luckily the kids are grown and out on their own. I have not given them the full story, but they are not happy about what they have heard thus far. My wife had not talked to them about it yet. Her family is in Japan. An interesting note, both her mom and sister are divorced. I thought she was different, but maybe not. She will turn 50 within a year, and I think this is partially due to menopause. I have read some real horror stories about that. Last year I thought our marriage was great, and I mean in every way. If I was looking ahead a year from last year this time, I would never, even in my wildest dreams, have imagined this scenario. It drives me nuts. Comments. I know you want to save your marriage, but at the moment she does not. She may never, though I suspect she might come running back to you, but the damage will have been done. You have to expose to your family and friends. It is not your burden to carry. Let her see the cold day of light. What is the OM's wife doing? Has she exposed to all and sundry too? Tell her to. You two should work together on a strategy. Do your daughters know what she is doing? Make sure she gets as little as possible from you financially. Ask her to leave the house which you paid for. Get the divorce papers filed and ready. Get all your ducks in a row. No begging, pleading, etc. Have you talked to the lawyers about what you might have to pay or vice versa? Do the 180 and start living your life for you. Join a golf club, bike club, and get out and about with others. OP responds, we are both supporting the household, yet she is making more than me. Yes, we discussed it all. We both picked the place out. I have been here most of the time for the last 2 years. As I said previously, I thought 2021 was the best year of our marriage yet. Only near the very end of the year did I get signs that something was up. Back then I was drinking and going out. No violence, but you can assume the rest. I was really a jerk. However, I changed my ways as I promised I would. She has brought that up lately. I had already found out about the affair and she didn't know that. During a discussion with her about what was going on, she really went at me about this. I felt very bad as she did share her feelings about it as she hadn't before. I felt so bad I couldn't sleep that night. She knew this the next morning as I looked and felt pretty poorly. I did not bring up what I knew. I felt at that time that her sharing these feelings was a step in the right direction. She told me then and texted later that I had no reason to feel guilty for what happened a long time ago, and that for the last 20 years I have been a great husband and father and treated the family very well. I really do believe menopause is playing a significant part in her thinking right now. I also think this thinking is being manipulated by the OM to some extent. She justifies her own activities. She also embellished the history and added things that weren't true. Then saying what she did the next day really demonstrated the fact that her personality, mood swings are quite extreme right now. Sometimes, we haven't talked for over a week now. She was almost the person I once knew, but at the other extreme somebody I don't know at all. I really think she has a mix of menopause symptoms and limerence, in love infatuation. When she is in attack mode, she has been very hurtful at times. When I found she had not been wearing her ring during a 3-day sports trip and asked her about it, she went into attack mode saying I was controlling and imagining things and how she was thinking she just wanted to be alone because she couldn't have any freedom when I was spying on her and trying to control her. However, it was me that had encouraged her to go and set up the hotel reservation for her and her 2 friends. Women, yes, they did actually go. I found out on D-Day that her sports partner on that trip is the same person she had EORPA with. Yeah, just my imagination, eh? Somebody took a pic of the 3 women with my wife's phone and she sent it to me. In the pic she is covering her ring finger. No forethought there. One thing that bothers me now is whether or not this is the only time she has done something like this. She wasn't wearing her ring once before, about 8 or 10 years ago, and when I asked about it, she said she lost it and that the plumber we had over to fix the bathroom must have stolen it. Looked all over, couldn't find it. I found the story about the repairman a bit hard to believe as I was there most of the time. Looking back, there have been a few incidents that I now wonder about that I just took at face value at the time. Interestingly, since she started this sport that she is really addicted to, I like it too and initially took it up so we might spend more time together. Plan was a failure. It has become like a separate life for her. She is a very good player and so she is quite popular at practice. She gets a great deal of attention, especially from the males, I am sure. So, it has become like a fantasy world for her that is totally detached from her family, married life. Once I learned how to play and became a little better, I asked, a few different times, to accompany her to a practice. She flatly refused each time, stating that they only practice with each other and want better players. I also asked to watch, also no. This was one of the first signs that something seriously wrong was going on in this other world of hers. In addition, her replies were hugely disrespectful, and that fact did not even seem to enter her mind. Fantasy world seems to be the best description of where she is right now, as she seems to want to divorce then whole family. It has actually been 6 years since our children left. She could have left a long time ago, or she could have told me that she wasn't happy and I would have worked to improve our marriage. Instead, she waits to get the GS job, for both my parents to pass and for the inheritance to clear probate. This year and beginning of year, all disbursements had been made. Coincidence? I am beginning to wonder. Last year, nothing said about dissatisfaction. Indeed, I thought 2021 was the best year of our marriage yet. Was I just getting strung along? What should I think now? She is a great actress then. I returned about every other weekend as she worked every other weekend and I worked during the week. However, the times we were together were very good in all respects and she never said anything about feeling neglected or that there was anything wrong in our marriage. I talked to my wife today for about 2 hours. This after not talking with her for about 10 days. I charged $180. I told her I had a question to ask face to face. I asked, I just want to make sure whether or not divorce is the path you want to take. I stated that either way is fine with me. She stated divorce and I think she expected me to get really upset, but instead I said okay, I understand. She asked if I was eating and sleeping okay, etc. I said I was doing fine. We talked about different types of divorces and how expensive they might be. She wants an amicable split, of course. Says she doesn't want us fighting or being bad to each other. She also says she wants a collaborative divorce. I told her that is fine if possible, but that I was not going to roll over and take it in the bottom. She knows what will come out if we end up going to court and she knows it will be expensive. I certainly haven't gotten over this, but I am resigned to it and ready to move on. There is no hope here. I do think she just wants her freedom to be a butterfly or whatever. So be it. Waste of 25 years. Earlier today I was looking through some of my things and I found a birthday card from late 2020. She wrote in it in pen, "Dear OP, I'm lucky to have a husband like you. I love you so much." And then her name and the date. It only makes me wonder how we got from there to here. Really only 16 months from that card to the start of hell and sadness for me and our marriage. I guess it shows how the fog of limerence can warp a person's mind and decision-making process. The wife of the OM called me yesterday out the blue. We have talked in the past, but it has been about 2 weeks now. She stated yesterday that her husband came up to her and stated that he was going to visit my wife because he missed her so much as he hasn't seen her in a while. They have been texting a lot each day though. I cannot understand the OM and OMW relationship. Once she found out about the affair, he has been pretty open with her about what is going on. I guess he has done stuff like this before, so she is just biding her time, but I wonder if he thought she would never file on him. Anyway, she told me that my wife has been telling him how scared she is of me and that I drop by the house whenever I want and that she has been taking shooting lessons for self-defense. Wow, what a bunch of phooey. I live about 2 hours away and I visit our house about once every 2 weeks and have never treated her poorly. I think she is white knighting this guy. I also found that my wife's best friend and another older guy friend knows about her affair. Not sure about that, but probable. She also said that my wife told her husband that STBX said we were getting a divorce and that she was moving back into our house now. However, she had never moved out. She also stated that my wife told him that she had told our daughters about the OM. That is also false. OMW said that her husband is not planning on getting a divorce but only plans on legal separation and does not plan on marrying again. OMW said he did not tell my wife of those plans. Really just totally crazy, all of this. I told OMW that she should file for D and expose him to all. I have seen guilt and sorrow from her regarding Leah and how she treated me. I do not see much in the way of wanting to work on R. It is unfortunate that she is not more like you in that regard. I didn't think she was the type to have an affair or lie to me so easily either. To clarify, I think she said that to her OM in an effort to white knight him, motivate him to come to the rescue. She told him at the same time that we were getting a divorce. What he didn't say to her was that he was going to get a legal separation from his wife but continue living with her. The OMW told me this as he tells her a lot about what is going on. Yes, strange, I know. I am getting better and accept the situation for what it is. I am not happy about it, actually very disappointed and sad, but there is clarity. I have filed for divorce already. She said she is interested in a collaborative D, so I am giving her a little time. It will not be much time. If I see no action on her part to reach out to talk about it, then she will be served. I am being careful and taking the necessary precautions. It is truly amazing how much a person I knew for 25 years can change and how quickly. They have become someone I don't think I would want to be with had they been like that when I met them. A week later, my STBX was served this Monday and her attorney filed the counter petition today. Her and I do not really communicate anymore. Last we talked is reflected on my last post on the string mentioned above. At that time, she said she wanted a collaborative divorce settlement, yet she says, does nothing. The down feelings are not quite as low now as they used to be, and that is good. But every time I need to do something for this divorce process, it brings me back to thinking about it all. 25 years is a long time. My job keeps me pretty active, but otherwise in my time off I play pickleball. Yes, that is pickleball. A great deal of fun, and there are quite a number of people starting to play these days. You get good exercise and you can take some suppressed frustration out on the ball. It helps a lot, and most players are around my age, give or take 10 years. More young people now coming out to play though. She is trying to leverage our properties and not admitting that I recently paid off most of our mortgage with some of my inheritance money. I also bought our second property with trust money. No, I'm not rich or anything. She is not admitting that doing that amounts to something out of the ordinary. She is displaying selective memory loss. No kids involved, so that is good. She makes about 3 times what I make, so she is looking at paying alimony. I think she is trying to leverage the properties to get out of paying alimony, but she really has no leverage. I think she had some of this planned ahead of time but neglected to consider a number of huge issues. Probably listened to the wrong people before hiring her lawyer. To clarify for all, I took other jobs because there is nothing in IT that cannot be outsourced. Nothing is really safe. I took a job that helped me learn about sustainability. It was a job that could not be outsourced. Once my contract was finished there, my STBX and I bought a small ranch with the express purpose of making it a sustainable retreat. I did that, and now the job I have is allowing me to learn how to grow organic fruit. There is a good future here, but it will take some more time. The point here is that my STBX and I agreed about all of this. I said maybe I should return to our main home and get a higher paying job. No, she didn't want that. She said I am much healthier here, and if I went back my health would not be as good if I had to work in an office like I used to. I guess she didn't consider that having an IA in the PIA would be quite detrimental to my health too. Another update here. I drove the 2+ hours to go back to my main home to drop some of her stuff off and pick up some of mine. I knew she was working and would not be home, so I would not have to worry about any confrontation, although we have never really had any. I texted her that I would be home in about 30 minutes. Well, she says that is too short of a heads up. Well, it turns out that she changed the locks on the house. She said I should have told her at least a day in advance. I told her that I did not come to visit her and only wanted to do the above mentioned and do some wash. Now, the divorce petition was served to her on Monday and the counter petition given to my lawyer on Wednesday. No rulings or anything have been made. I really do not think she has a right to lock me out of my own house without a court order. Am I way off here? My wife is almost 50. Her new guy is 5 years my junior but married over 30 years. She stated, before I found out about that she wanted to be alone and wanted to travel. The thought had crossed my mind that she may have considered what might happen if I had a physical ailment or something and how that might encroach on her desired lifestyle. It would fit in with the selfishness I have been witnessing, but again I may be analyzing too much. She is a GS worker and no longer on probation. I wrote and rewrote her resume for the job. Oh, well, I am sure you are right that it will go to mediation where a deal will probably be made. My current job may indeed turn into something better in a year or two. The owner and I get along very well. We are a bit tight this year because a big harvest froze on the bush. We are remedying that this fall so it doesn't happen again. It is also healthy work and keeps me pretty active. I talked with my son, from previous marriage, today, and he told me some interesting stuff that happened 3 years ago while I was away on a job. He had just returned from Europe and was staying at our house for about 6 months while he got his feet on the ground. He told me that my STBX went on trips quite often and just went out without much of any explanation. For instance, I'm going shopping and won't be back until tonight. He said she was once picked up at our house by a male doctor. He said she stayed out overnight on occasion too. I guess I may have been blind and duped for quite a bit longer than I thought. I know none of this is solid evidence, but it takes on a different light considering recent events. She also told me, back then, that she really disliked my son. I now think that may have been because she thought he was telling me about the above at the time. He didn't tell me though because he thought I knew she was going out all the time. Am I way off thinking like this? A fairly rough day today. Too much time to think and remember. I keep myself busy, but my mind seems to always turn back to the relationship or lack thereof. I guess I shouldn't expect much else as it has only been 6 weeks or so since D-Day. She has been a large part of my life for over 20 years and now it seems like a big empty space has taken over. Today, I cleaned out some old papers and stumbled onto some old cards and pictures. That was not really good, but I did get some stuff done. I guess where the lawyer is concerned, I just need to be patient. Yesterday I had thought of going to our other home, as last week when I went, I found she had changed the locks. She was not working this weekend, so could have gone but decided not to. She works every other weekend, so I may go 2 weeks from now. Not wanting to visit her, only to drop off and pick up some things. Also, check on the house. The place I am at now was supposed to have been our retreat bungalow. So much for that plan. A bit of an update. Have not talked face to face nor via phone for over a month. It is disturbing to think I guess we, as I have not initiated contact either, can just stop everything on a dime after 20 plus years of daily interaction. We have only texted about handling bills. I can only surmise there is no heart left in her, and indeed I wonder now if it was all an act. I am still, as far as I know, locked out of my house. I have not been back since the last post about that. I have also found that she is now opening my mail that goes to our main address. Sometimes I think she is just trying to push my buttons. I refuse to react though. I am now on a little vacation so as to get away from everything. Doing a lot of sports, exercise. I needed this and it has been good for me. There are moments I think that we could have gone on this vacation together, but then realize that she is no longer the same person that I knew and therefore not someone I would miss. My comments, OP doesn't need to pay anything. It is a situation where he can move on gracefully. Story 2. Wife and I together for 7 years and married for 3. Very good communication, agrees on finances, similar work ethic and support. Been through a lot of family tragedy and the support brought us always closer. This fall we moved for her job and I found myself a job. She works very long hours and is a very demanding job. I do my best making sure laundry is done, food is cooked and the animals are fed. The fall was stressful because of the move. She started hanging out with a group of heavy drinkers and slowly started coming home later, and more drunk with less interest in me. I would ask her to make more of us time, and while she always agreed but never delivered, she seemed down and I kept asking if I'm doing anything wrong. She kept saying no, it's stress at work. Around the holidays we had a big fight and asked me to stay with my family for a few weeks. They live nearby and I work remotely, so it wasn't an unreasonable request. She said she needed space, but got her drama-loving mom involved, which she never liked me, and it made things worse. Her mom is as mature as a spoiled 3-year-old and is always drunk. Throughout the separation we always intended on getting back together, but she began to become more argumentative by text and began blaming me for failures in the marriage. At one point she said she wanted to be left alone. I wasn't begging and pleading, more bugging her, making sure she was okay. She has suffered from depression in the past and I was concerned. Out of nowhere I get a text, I want a divorce. She wouldn't communicate with me any other way but text, and I kept asking her what the heck was going on. She blocked me by text. She then called my father and told him to tell me she wants a divorce because I wouldn't leave her alone. All of this sounds insane and we're usually very mature and respectful during arguments. She began calling me manipulative and emotionally abusive. At the same time, she told me to come get my cat or she's bringing him to the pound, which is emotionally abusive. She's acting like another person. I sent her an email telling her I'm okay with the divorce, and since we don't have much in assets, a non-contest would be quick, cheap, and easy. I told her if divorcing me will make her happy, I will do it. But I want to make it quick and easy so I can move on with my life. She knows I want to save the marriage. I'm confused about the whole thing and she turned down counseling. The email was sent and read several weeks ago and haven't heard anything. I was recently laid off and asked her if I can still use the credit card. She does the bills, with no response. She continues to pay my phone bill and hasn't taken me off her health insurance. All of our wedding photos are still on her Facebook, and when I went to get my stuff from our apartment, she wasn't there. She had a friend. All of our pictures together were still hanging. I'm at a loss and thinking it could be depression. Possible grass is greener syndrome with her party friends. I'm a stay-at-home type of guy. My therapist suggested beginning of an alcohol addiction because I am hard on her when she drinks too much and parties like a single person. Another man. Nothing unusual from phone records. But if this was the case, wouldn't she want the divorce? She was bluffing and threatened divorce because I was pestering her. She always joked and complained how I'm a nag. I admit it. I'm at a loss and will not contact her to give her space. But she said she wanted a divorce ASAP and I'm cooperating. She now ignores me. Not interested in investigating an affair. If she gives up this easy, she isn't for me. She wants a divorce, I'm accepting, and she won't work with me. I was told if it was an affair, it will likely end and she will come back. She's a bad liar and I would know. Depression, with me out of her life, she may realize it's not me. She originally offered to pay for the whole divorce and we do a non-contest. She was the breadwinner. Now that I'm agreeing, she will not talk to me. I keep trying to contact her offering mediation if she doesn't want to speak to me. Non-contest will avoid a 1-year waiting period. We had an agreement on temporary marital support to get myself on the ground. Now she's gone. She continues to pay my credit card, phone and health insurance. I am trying. I send her an email every few days asking how she wants to go about the divorce. No response. I was trying to contact her to get a non-contest divorce going. She won't speak to me. She wanted the divorce, but I've been the one pushing to get it done. All she has done was ignore me. She said she wants a divorce but keeps coming up with excuses why she can't do it right now. Her and my dad are close and they spoke, and she listed a bunch of complaints of why she wants a divorce. He said, you know, marriage isn't easy and you guys haven't even addressed your complaints with a professional. And my dad said counseling saved his marriage. She said he has improved and give me 2 weeks to think about it. I later sent her an email saying I got my dad's message and I'm happy she's reconsidering. I told her I don't know what either of us want, but I want to talk about it before we jump to divorce. She responded, which she hasn't been, and said yeah. I told her to send me a hello and we can have small non-hour talk. I'm even more confused now. Just recently laid off. Accepted an offer today. I've always been fully employed and have a strong work ethic. That has nothing to do with it. If this divorce goes through, I'm moving back to the West Coast. She said she wants the divorce ASAP but won't do anything on her end. I have the means for my own place but she's being wishy-washy. I've lived on my own since I was 17. Staying with a family member during a divorce isn't unheard of. My comment, you're using her credit card, she's paying your phone bill, you're on her insurance. She may be trading up. Any of you had trouble with a divorce or separation? Comment down and I will prepare another one soon.